My family, my father and mother were first generation. They came over on the boat. My grandparents on my father's side were cooks. They cooked in a restaurant in the West Side. I wasn't really much of a student, therefore, in grammar school or high school. And when I took the aptitude tests, it showed that I had kind of aptitude for perhaps as an engineer. I didn't know what an engineer was. My father would like the idea because he thought that I could fix television sets if I was an engineer.
Back in the day, Ralph really wasn't that much older than the rest of us. So in many ways, he and other professors seemed like older brothers, mentors. At the same time, they were very much professors to us.
Two things I remember. He had a much bigger office than almost anyone else on the faculty, but he also had this miniature pool table, but it was not a tiny miniature. It was like a quarter-size pool table, but one that you could walk around and play pool. And I initially met Ralph in his office shooting pool.
The dean, when I first came to Kent, was quite a character. The rest of the faculty were pretty strange as well.
He's a classic old Chicago boy.
Politicians and people in government come and go, but Ralph doesn't.
Someone came up to him, this was a couple years ago, and said, "Professor Brill, you don't know me, but you were my grandfather's torts teacher," which that's kind of a mixed blessing, I suppose, when somebody tells you that.
Initially he'll seem a bit bland.
You know, his demeanor doesn't always suggest that he likes to have a good time, but he does like to have a good time, so.
And he's also a very kind and generous man. And I know he doesn't like it when people compliment him like that, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Ralph is probably one of the most intelligent, both street and book-wise, warm, honest. Like, the man doesn't have a dishonest bone in his body, full of integrity, morals, values, and the biggest heart God ever gave anybody.
I don't think any of us appreciated he was also a competitor.
We started a faculty basketball team to play in an intramural league that played down on the main IIT campus. And there probably was no less probable basketball player on the faculty at that point than Ralph. You know, in that he was short and he was 53 or 54, but Ralph was probably our most enthusiastic player.
He goes and tells everybody very publicly, so I'm not exposing anything, that I saved his life. Now, I did not save his life. I helped him to select a doctor, and he thinks I saved his life. I did not save his life.
I've gone golfing with Ralph a number of times. He thinks he's a very bad golfer, and I always tell him that he's not that bad, but the truth is he is a pretty bad golfer.
I started out as a legal writing teacher. I always told my students they were writing for a somewhat intelligent idiot who didn't want to have to think in order to understand what they were saying.
Ralph made you stop and think and break it down and analyze it.
What really you should learn, and I think from the writing program he's always tried to instill, is that the writing's got to be pragmatic and it's got to be persuasive.
Keep writing.
Keep writing.
Do it again.
Delivered calmly and as if he was telling us to, you know, finish our meal or eat our vegetables.
I think what Ralph did with legal writing had a profound effect on the way in which law is taught in the United States.
If I could be 1/4 of the professor, the teacher, the mentor, the friend, the parent, the grandparent he is, I will feel really successful.
I just love teaching.